I see my note says a Chronicle is watching live in an air conditioned. Oh, you here, not watching live. It's air conditioned. You relax. You tell me when. I didn't know I could get here so quick. I'm Rodney Ellis, and I want to thank you all for being here and for joining us as the EPA presents the final findings of its soil sampling in the historic Fifth Ward neighborhood that you're in, the Nickel, the Tray. Today we're here for two important reasons. The first is to ensure full transparency and to deliver accurate information to you as well as the community as quickly as possible. The second is to reaffirm our commitment to ensuring Hester House is safe for all community members. We know that many of you have been waiting for a long time for answers, and we honor the advocacy and persistence that has brought us to this moment. Hester House is a very special place to this community. It was special to my predecessor, Commissioner L. Franco Lee, to my mentor, Congressman Mickey Leland, and to late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and Congressman Sylvester Turner. It's very special to this community, and it's special to me as well. Its legacy is one rooted in community, culture, and perseverance. That's why we will continue to do everything in our power to ensure this is a place where people can gather and children can grow and thrive. To every resident, I want them to know that they are not alone in this effort. This work doesn't stop today. It's part of a long-term commitment to protect public health, persevere and preserve our community spaces, and make sure that people who live here are treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve. Next, you'll hear from Casey Luckett Snyder, followed by Q&A. Casey has been with EPA for 25 years. I did ask when they briefed me a couple of days ago, did anything change? Knowing obviously there's been a change in leadership and a change in administration. They awarded a contract to a company to do this analysis, and nothing has changed since that. There are some who would probably say, well, you know, in this political environment, you just let EPA do its report and stay away from it. But I had a press conference here with former Mayor Congressman Sylvester Turner, the county attorney, and the health director from the city of Houston, who can't be here today because he's on a well-deserved vacation, right in the step on the steps in the front of the Hester House. And we asked for the sampling here at this historic facility. So I told my staff I thought it was appropriate to come back and let them present their results. So with that, I want to bring Casey up, and we'll follow that with Q&A. And you got a clicker here.
I've got a clicker. Thank you, Commissioner Ellis. Really appreciate it. Yeah, please do. So my name is Casey Luckett Snyder. As Commissioner Ellis said, I am a 25-year veteran of EPA. I've been doing environmental work for a long time. It's kind of special for me here in the Fifth Ward. I started my environmental career as a Mickey Leland intern with the state of Texas, and then doing some internships. So I'm honored to be here, especially every time I hear his name. So I am going to present today the results from the sampling that EPA conducted here at the Julia C. Hester House Community Center. I've got about 7 slides to run through. I hope that'll just kind of orient everybody to why we're here and what the final results are. Just kind of FYI as we get started, EPA has a name for every investigation that we do. And so the name that we designated for this particular investigation, in order to keep it separate and independent from the Union Pacific Railroad investigation that is ongoing, the name we designated, we use street names a lot, so we designated it the Solo Street Green Space. And so, but I'll show you a quick aerial. You'll see it's the green space and recreational area that's right behind this building, and between that one and the Head Start. Okay, that's not the right button. How about that one? There we go. So just a quick overview. This hits all the highlights. The Solo Street Green Space site is located essentially at the Julia C. Hester House Community Center. Again, it's the green space that's behind this building. EPA conducted what we call a removal site evaluation, which is an independent sampling and analysis event so that we could further characterize some contamination that was found early in the Union Pacific investigation. The sample results from all of that analysis were below EPA screening levels for dioxin, and so there is no risk. Bottom line, there's no risk from dioxin exposure to anyone who recreates or plays in the area behind the Hester House, and there will be no additional EPA action. This will close out the investigation. So just to kind of orient you, again, the Solo Street green space site, as commonly known, it's the green space area behind the Hester House. There's an early head start just to the south, and then the rec building here to the north. So this started because, as Commissioner Ellis pointed out, the Union Pacific, the 5th Ward Cashmere Gardens Union Pacific Railroad investigation, as you all know, is ongoing. And early in our meetings with the community and in our conversations with local elected officials, it was very important. We heard from the community members and from elected officials, it was very important that EPA include public space that is commonly used, especially by children, as part of that investigation. So as you may know, we have sampled, as part of the Union Pacific investigation, we sampled Atherton Elementary across the street, Dogan Elementary just up the way, Catherine Adams Park, Barbara Jordan Park, Boyce Dorian Park, which is just behind us here, and then the green space here at Julia C. Hester House. So that initial sampling actually took place right about a year ago. When we got that data back, we went through the validation process and we did the evaluation. We had 2 sample grids that exceeded EPA screening level for a chemical called dioxin. That is a chemical that is associated with wood treating, and so we are looking for it as part of the Union Pacific investigation. So we had 2 sample grids, grids 8 and 9, which exceeded EPA screening level, and which caused us to want to take a closer look at this green space area, in particular because we knew there was an early head start here, in addition to the community center and the rec building, and that it was an area frequented by the community, including kids. So we decided as an agency, we were going to conduct an expanded investigation. That expanded investigation, again, is called a removal site evaluation. And this helps us know, is there actually the contamination that we think is there? Is it present? Where is it? And is it in concentrations that may cause a risk to people's health? So this is basically a map that shows you the results from that investigation. We broke all of that recreational area behind this building into 16 different sample grids. We took more than 50 soil samples at 3 depth intervals. So we sampled at a 0 to 2 inch depth interval, a 2 to 6 inch depth interval, and a 6 to 12 inch interval. The green that you see on the map indicates that all 16 of those sample grids were below EPA screening level for dioxin. So I think if you've been to some of our community meetings before that we've held here in the 5th Ward, you've heard me talk about residential screening levels. It's a numerical tool that we use. It helps us, again, know if we need to do some additional work, some additional investigation. It was the initial evaluation of the Union Pacific samples and comparing that to the EPA screening level that led us to do the expanded investigation. Those residential screening levels are protective for the most sensitive population. That's very typically young children, 0 to 6 years old. And so clearly with the early Head Start program here, that's the most conservative screening value that we could use and apply to this investigation. As I said, all 16 grids were below EPA's screening value for dioxin. So we can confidently tell the community, and tell Commissioner Ellis and you all here, that there is no risk to young children. There is no risk to anyone playing, recreating, having a picnic, doing whatever it is they want to do in the green space behind this building. We are here to let the community know it's completely safe for people to continue to use that space, and there will be no further investigation. Clearly, there's no need for any type of additional action by EPA. So this will conclude this investigation, and we will continue to work with Commissioner Ellis and the folks here at Hester House and to support the efforts that they have ongoing for the community. And as I said, it was a very short presentation. If you have any questions, I can take those. I am the project manager who's working on this project in the Union Pacific, and then we have an EPA on-scene coordinator who also directed the work that we did here.
So we discussed whether or not we would have a press conference yesterday or earlier today, but because we visited with the community after this, we thought it made more sense to do this right before going over to present it to the community. I know that someone is here from Union Pacific as well. I want to stress this has nothing to do with the issues involving Union Pacific at that site. So I am satisfied with the results of what they've come up with as it relates to this site, which Precinct 1, it's an independent site, but Precinct 1 does run it. We fund it. And so we're going to take the fences down. We want to make sure the community knows. But we feel fortunate, and I feel confident that because the same company that was engaged sometime back, putting that politely, before the election, is the same one that completed it. We're going to move forward and give the community the assurance that we feel comfortable with the results that came back from the study. Are there questions?
Now, what could be an explanation for the original elevated levels of dioxin?
So dioxin is dioxin's a pretty common chemical that you find in urban environments. It's one of 30 listed hazardous air pollutants for urban environments by EPA. Common sources of dioxin are certain types of pesticides that include a chemical called pentachlorophenol. Diesel exhaust is another source of dioxin. Another kind of typical source that we see is backyard burning, and that includes your barbecue grill. The ashes in your barbecue grill or in your backyard burning have dioxins in them. I do know that there was a fire here at one time in the 90s, I believe. And
I was a baby.
Me too. Mid-90s, I think, and so it's possible that could have just been a small residual bit of incinerated ash from the fire that was here. It could have been from the bug man who spilled a little bit of pesticide while he was treating the external area. So there's a lot of common sources for dioxins.
Yes. You can say you're with, but we know you're with the Chronicle.
Yeah. Do you feel like the initial results shook the community at all? And if so, how do you plan to, assure them that everything's safe? I feel like that can be kind of scary at first.
Yeah. This is a community that has been neglected, overlooked, underserved for many years. So I fully understand apprehension that people may have. This is the north side of town. I'm from a community very much like this on the south side of town, sunny side. So I think there's always that fear there. We're going to make the results public. We text message. We're going to use social media. We're going to do as much as we can to get the word out. Look, I'm not a chemical analyst. I'm just a lawyer. But my sense is because the study was asked for, a firm was picked to do it, I would have no reason to question it. So I plan to take the fences down. And we were in the process of trying to figure out how to find funding, although it is an independent entity. The county's been spending $1.2 million or so a year for years to run the operation, but this is an old settlement house. YMCAs, before they became YMCAs, you had black settlement houses and white settlement houses. This would be, I think I'm right, the longest continuous operating formerly black settlement house. The demographics of the neighborhood have changed, obviously, but it was a black settlement house. And we want to keep it going in the future. We've been in negotiations with the board where the county would take control of the facility. They would give us title to it with caveats that if it was ever not used for its intended purposes, the board could come back and take it from us. They would reimburse the county for capital investments that we make going forward, not the ones we made in the past. But we were looking for funding in case we had to make a decision on whether or not to suggest to the board, shut it down, or keep the fences up, or what it would cost to remove the dioxins if the study came back showing that it was a level that could cause people health problems. But I feel comfortable with it unless somebody gives me some other information. So we're going to do as much as we can to reassure the community. We'll put letters out. We'll tell people when they come in. It is a weeknight. It was time to put it out because you reporters would start nosing around or do a FOIA request and get the study anyway. So we thought it was important to present it. Okay? Any others? I know we have a little time. We have 20 minutes. We're here individually. Just don't fire up a barbecue pit. That probably wouldn't be very reassuring, at least tonight. Okay? All right, yes.
Who's the company that was contracted to do the CP?
So EPA has a
Here you go.
contractor. Yeah, there we go. So EPA's contractor who conducted this work is Weston Solutions. Weston is also EPA's oversight contractor for the Union Pacific Railroad investigation. So for all the sampling that was conducted as part of the residential soil sampling and the vapor intrusion sampling that's been done as part of the Union Pacific Railroad investigation, Weston Solutions has provided EPA oversight. And so it was important for us to have that continuity. We use the same exact sampling protocol here as we have done as part of the Union Pacific Railroad investigation, so we would be able to compare the results, right? You want to have comparability between data sets, and so it was very important to us to have that continuity.
One more thing, I'm sorry if this is very obvious, but
Yeah.
you mentioned that you were thankful that the contractor was doing this. You were worried about political climate or administration change, or
I want to be diplomatic, but I've never been shy. Obviously, the election didn't go the way I hoped it would go. I did ask when I was meeting with Casey, how long have you been here? And worried about any Doge cuts. Obviously, I know there have been cutbacks. And if it had been an internal study, I would have had some concern about whether or not the work was being done, just based on my reservations about the current administration, that obviously I'm not very fond of. Yeah, it was just better. That gave me more of a sense of comfort. Now, as it relates to the broader one, look, we're in Texas, so there are limitations on liability for companies to do this kind of research. What's the name of the company?
Weston Solutions.
But if Western Solutions didn't do their job, I'm not a trial lawyer, but I know some good trial lawyers. And if that was a case there in federal court or state court, I would encourage them to pursue it if something does come up. But we're in Texas. I mean, we don't, with so-called reforms that have come about, it does make it more difficult for people to have a cause of action against a private company if it does not do its job. But it gave me a comfort level. All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you all. And other meeting.